Hi. Sorry about the lighting. I was just inspired to come on here real quick to elaborate on my last short that I had put out with regards to the importance of healing trauma in order to become stronger, in a sense. Um, because a lot of times you hear people say that trauma makes you stronger. However, what I was going into is that it only makes you stronger if you take the time to heal it, because trauma can be very damaging to our entire system, quite truthfully. So it's important to heal, and that's what, from a spiritual perspective, that's what triggers are meant for us, is to bring up the trauma to the surface so that we can heal it. Okay. um, from a spiritual perspective, everything happens for our best and highest good. That's hard to accept, especially when things that happen are traumatic. However, again, it's what we do with it. It's what we do with anything that matters. So when we do experience trauma, and everybody does, it's not always the heavy hitters, okay? It's not always abuse of certain kinds or anything like that. It's just when our body can't integrate what just happened, okay? When we struggle with healing it. So the key is to sit with it and heal it. Now, a lot of people say, well, how do you heal trauma? Well, oftentimes we can go to a practitioner who can help us with moving it where it needs to go and categorizing it away. Like EMDR, right? EMDR is, the whole idea of EMDR is that your mind and your body heal itself. Sometimes it just needs a little help in order to be able to shift things around and do that. So it works with the bilateral stimulation to allow the brain to kind of file it away instead of having this hot potato sitting in our brain that continuously gets triggered. Okay, I'm simplifying it here. So finding a practitioner that can help with something like that. Other times when it's not as pervasive or deep, like childhood trauma, things like that, when it's more surface level, I don't know if I'm explaining myself right, but when it's a little lighter, let's put it that way. It hasn't had years to integrate into negative belief systems and patterns of thought processes and behaviors and everything else. Okay. So, not to minimize what the trauma is, but it is a little harder to uproot and takes a little longer when it's something that you've been sitting with for many years versus if I get into a car accident or something and it's traumatic for me. That's a little easier to get to because it's fresh. Okay, hopefully that explains that, because I certainly don't want to insult anyone or minimize the impact of any kind of trauma in your life. The key is, with most things, in order to heal, is to be able to sit with it, not distract from it, not run away from it, not bury it down where it's only going to create other problems for us. Because emotion, which I always say is energy, doesn't dissipate. It has to be transformed. It has to be transmuted. And that's what the process of healing is. So when we can sit with whatever those triggers are and not run from them, not avoid them, not give them the power over us that makes us believe that they're stronger than we are. So we have to avoid them, right? No emotion is stronger than you. However, when we avoid, we tend to build a belief system within ourselves that it is stronger than us and that we're not strong enough to be able to sit with it or face it or do something with it because it's so uncomfortable. So Depending on the nature of the trauma and depending on, again, the level of your fear, oftentimes it is helpful when you find someone that you can work through that with, that can help ground you, anchor you in the here and now, to remind you that you did survive it, that you are present, and that you can do this. In other cases, like if we get our heart broken or something like that, which can still be traumatic, grief is a very hard thing to work through. It really helps when we can just sit with it, face it, look it in the eye, and remind it that I survived, I'm here, and my life is what I make it. Pull your power back. And when we're able to do this over and over again, and cry the ugly tears, do what you have to do to purge it from your system. Sometimes it's journaling. Sometimes it's writing a letter. If it's working through forgiving somebody, it's writing a letter, or you can do visualization, meditations, things like that, where you imagine that they're sitting in front of you and you get it out of your system, say what you need to say, and then forgive. Forgiveness, much like acceptance, does not equal approval. And it also does not mean that we have to allow people back into our life. If I forgive someone who really hurt me, I'm forgiving for me. I'm letting go of that toxic energy that I'm bottling up inside, instead of feeding it with thoughts of revenge or thoughts of, oh, well, I hope they get their just rewards, or things like that. And it's easy to do that because we're human. But instead of feeding the negative energy, forgiving is what helps us to let it go, transformed from a place of compassion and love. That's the key. And not because we all of a sudden want to embrace them back into our lives. No. You take a person at face value. If they're still toxic, don't allow them the same freedoms in your life that they had before. Because you forgive them does not mean you forget. It just means you're not holding that anchor of negativity anymore in the pit of your stomach. You're not allowing it to drag you down. And that's the goal with healing, is forgiveness. Forgiveness of self, for allowing yourself to ever be in that position, or forgiving your power away. And this is only if it's involving someone else, right? It's reminding yourself, especially if it's childhood trauma, that you didn't know. But that goes a lot deeper, and I encourage anyone with childhood trauma to really work with someone who can really help them challenge those perspectives, to uproot that kind of, it's just so pervasive. It really is. And often generational. Okay, as much trauma can be outside of what we call accidents, right? So in any case, that's the goal, is the forgiveness, the acceptance that this happened. It does not diminish me. It makes me stronger through forgiveness, through healing, through letting go. That's where the strength comes in. And it's hard work. Believe me, I know. However, I don't want anyone to think, regardless of what path in life you are on, that you are under this. Everyone has this strength. Everyone has the ability to do this. You are powerful. You are strong. You just have to believe it and be willing to sit with it. And if you don't know how to do it alone, find a professional who can help you. And trust yourself to know if they're the right one for you. I always tell my clients, you're not going to hurt my feelings if you feel I'm not the one for you. We all come from different walks of life. We all communicate differently, even if we speak the same language. Trust yourself to know what's best for you. And that's really hard to do when we have unhealed trauma. And especially if that's been perpetuated through mistreatment of many different relationships. That's why it's important to work on you for you. Develop the relationship with yourself so that you can trust yourself to navigate the world in front of you. That's key. All right. I gotta finish up my meditation and start my day. I have things that I want to get done, but I am wishing you all the best and sending so much love. This is not easy work. I always say healing is not for the faint of heart. So I hope, even if the video isn't so great, I hope the message resonates and helps. Okay, I'm wishing you all the best. Have a great day.